What is up, Dallas Cowboys fans? Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz podcast right here on FanStream Sports. Over to FanStreamSportsDallas.com or just FanStreamSports.com, and we'll get you taken care of for all of your local and national sports updates, sports news, sports opinions. Lots of opinions over there, by the way. But good morning to you and welcome in to an early 7 a.m. Well, it's regular, but it's still early. Edition of the show as we come at you every weekday morning, 7 a.m. and especially the next couple of weeks because the Cowboys are in Oxnard, boys and girls, and their camp is here. Football season is here, right? Isn't that when we count football season? Like when they report to camp. I mean, it's kind of when I count football season. Some people count it, I guess, with preseason, the regular season, but it's time to start actually talking about football. We will see pads on the players on August 3rd, but they're there and they're learning. Christian Parker continuing his education about his new defense, continuing to change the culture. And you know what, as we head into training camp, for once, maybe, the biggest news story isn't about a holdout. It isn't about a contract potential disaster. And it's not about Jerry Jones publicly negotiating with one of his own players, as has been so often the case. The Cowboys are healthy. They're optimistic. And as we found out on Tuesday, Jerry might be working on another trade. So naturally, Cowboys fans everywhere should feel completely calm and relaxed, right? I'm sure that's not what's happening. So let's begin with the legitimately good news here. Dallas isn't expecting to place anyone on the PUP or NFI list when practices begin. That's the physically unable to perform or non-football injury list. None. There is nobody headed to either one of those lists at Cowboys camp. That means Dallas will have its entire roster available, barring an unexpected issue during physical testing. And for a team entering camp with a new DC, with several new starters, and with major questions at a few important positions, having everyone available is a significant advantage. Deron Bland and rookie edge rusher Donovan Aziriaku may be eased into the action after missing portions of the offseason, but neither player is expected to begin camp sidelined. And that is a huge deal. Bland is one of the more important players in the Cowboys secondary. Aziriaku will be given every opportunity to learn and immediately offer his services in a role in the pass rush rotation. Dallas doesn't need both players to take every snap during the opening practices, but certainly it needs them healthy when the regular season begins. They're going to be a big part of this thing for Christian Parker. Starting camp without a long injury list also gives the coaching staff an opportunity to evaluate the entire roster. There won't be as many excuses. There won't be guessing about how the defense might look once everybody gets here. They're already here. That is a huge deal. Christian Parker and his defensive staff can start installing their system with just about every major contributor on the field. There's no waiting around. There's no filling in spots until somebody's healthy, until they can take everybody is here. And I can't emphasize, y'all know, I don't have to. Y'all know what a big deal that is. Now that brings us to then the Cowboys' supposedly quiet offseason. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones both appeared pleased that Dallas avoided its usual summer circus. There wasn't a prolonged, quarterback negotiation. There wasn't some star player sitting at home while ownership negotiated his contract on television. There wasn't some weekly public disagreement between the front office staff and the coaching staff and a player here somewhere. By Cowboy standards, that qualifies as peaceful. And, quiet and peaceful doesn't always mean inactive. The Cowboys were not inactive. Dallas changed the defensive depth chart. They hired a new DC. They rebuilt a lot of the defensive coaching staff. They also brought in several players who could have meaningful roles this season. Lots of new names. The organization did not dominate the opening week of free agency, but this isn't the same team that walked off the field at the end of last season either. The defense is different. The coaching staff is different. The expectations are different. Dak Prescott has openly embraced the Super Bowl expectations, and Jerry Jones seems to appreciate that confidence. Good. The Cowboys shouldn't be talking about moral victories or gradual improvement. Dak's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and the roster's got lots of stars. The Cowboys are not approaching this season like a rebuilding franchise or even a retooling franchise. They're trying to win now. And that's what makes Jerry Jones' comments on Tuesday so interesting. As Jerry indicated that Dallas would be willing to surrender future assets for a player who could significantly improve the roster. He also revealed that he recently spoke with another NFL owner about a possible transaction. Now, Jerry promised he wasn't going to create any unnecessary drama. And then he almost immediately announced that he was involved in a mysterious trade conversation. If that's not classic Jerry, I don't know what is. Cowboys fans should not start ordering customized jerseys for every disgruntled superstar in the league. We have no names. Jerry has hinted at major trades before. And of course, the Cowboys, like any other team in the league, are always interested in improving their roster. If the price, the contract, the compensation, if all of those things are in alignment with what they can and want to do. And as we know, interest does not guarantee action. But I do think that the timing here is worth paying attention to. A blockbuster move would happen, or it could happen really at any point. Because if there's a guy out there that's a legitimate star that could help this team, he wouldn't need training camp to prove that he's probably better than whoever the guy is at the current guy is at his position on the Dallas roster. A smaller move might require a little bit of patience. Dallas could spend the first couple of weeks here evaluating the roster before deciding whether it needs another starter, whether it needs a rotational guy, or if it needs maybe some offensive line depth. We've talked about the left tackle position way more than we should. That's a possibility. But after a couple of weeks, the Cowboys will have identified to an extent the weaknesses on the roster that could prevent them from making a postseason run, and they could attack that deficiency pretty aggressively. And so naturally, the name Maxx Crosby has entered the conversation. Because Crosby's been linked to the Cowboys before. And Jerry suggested even that the Cowboys weren't necessarily the side that ended those discussions. And that's interesting because that doesn't mean that Crosby is currently available. But the Raiders have been pretty vocal about this, that they've shown no clear indication at this point that they're prepared to trade him after the deal broke down with Baltimore. And Crosby has reported to training camp and appears to be committed to Las Vegas. Could that situation change? Absolutely. The NFL can flip overnight. A bad day, disagreement over the direction of the franchise, even trade rumors can often reopen the conversation here. But Dallas can't build its entire plan around the hope that another team suddenly decides to trade one of the league's premier pass rushers. Crosby would be the dream scenario. if you believe he's that guy. The Cowboys still need realistic alternatives. One player Dallas already has also become a major financial priority. Quinnen Williams is reportedly near the top of the organization's contract extension list, and he should be. The market for a high-end defensive tackle keeps climbing, and just like every contract negotiation, every potential extension on the roster, the longer you wait, makes that extension more expensive. Dallas has already invested premium capital and significant money in Williams. And allowing the situation to linger without a long-term deal doesn't make a lot of sense. So if Dallas believes that Quinnen Williams can anchor the middle of Christian Parker's defense for the next several seasons, they got to start working towards an extension now before another defensive tackle resets the entire market. Defensive tackles aren't cheap anymore. Now, it was also interesting on Tuesday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers reported to camp. Vita Vea said he wants a trade out of Tampa Bay. Vita Vea is a really good defensive tackle. And I haven't seen this in a lot of places. And I don't think Tampa Bay wants to get rid of Vita Vea. If they do, I don't know what Jason Light's doing over there. But Vita Vea would be certainly a name. If I'm the Cowboys, I've already picked up the phone and I've called Tampa. What do you want? Vita Vea's issue is his contract. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and he is making a measly $17 million. And he's out of guaranteed money. So the Cowboys would need to not only negotiate the trade, but they would have to negotiate a long-term deal with probably a lot of guaranteed money. I'm guessing, a 3 year, $66 million deal with maybe 50 of that guaranteed is what it would cost for Vita Vea. Would I pay that for Vita Vea? Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Do I want him instead of Quinnen Williams? I don't know about that. But I think Vita Vea is cheaper than Quinnen Williams. If you're just, Quinnen Williams is already making, 21, 22? Vita Vea is 31 years old. So that's just another name I heard, coincidentally on Tuesday when Jerry's talking about all the trade talk. The Cowboys also appear to be comfortable allowing George Pickens to play under the franchise tag. He's in camp. Everything appears to be copacetic. And the Cowboys can't now negotiate a long-term deal with him. So his future is up in the air after this season. If he has another good year, it's just going to cost the Cowboys that much more to keep him. Or, if you decide you don't want to pay him, maybe you trade him at the trade deadline if you think you can get something for him. And again, depending where the rest of this offense is. Jerry has said that he loves George and he wants him to be a Cowboy for years. And that's the thing you say in July, right? But the real test is going to come when Pickens starts producing and you watch his market value skyrocket. And then it's time for Jerry to convert those compliments into guaranteed money. For now, Pickens gives Prescott another explosive weapon. And he's going to force defenses to make some difficult choices between him and CeeDee Lamb. And the Cowboys have talked about finding Prescott help for years. And this time they've finally got a receivers duo capable of changing all of the geometry on the field. And that position's not a question anymore. I don't even think it's a question for wide receiver 3. I think Flournoy is going to have that locked down. The biggest offensive question that we have, I think, is still the offensive line. Schottenheimer declined to reveal a permanent alignment for all of these guys, which is understandable before the first padded practice. I get it. Tyler Smith is expected to stay at left guard. Although Dallas plans to continue to cross-train him at tackle for emergency situations, Tyler Booker will probably also receive some work at center. That doesn't mean I don't think that the Cowboys are planning a dramatic position switch for anybody. Doesn't mean that. And maybe the most interesting competition on the offensive line, as we have repeatedly discussed, is at left tackle. Tyler Guyton is your favorite. Drew Shelton's going to be in the mix there somewhere. And we'll learn pretty quick, based on playing time, if that is an actual competition or motivational pressure for Guyton. If Guyton gets nearly every first-team snap, I think that it means the decision has already been made that he's the guy. If reps get divided very early and pretty evenly, then I think Dallas is far less comfortable with him at left tackle, especially more than they have said publicly. So that position could determine how aggressive the Cowboys become in the trade market. The Cowboys don't need 5 future Pro Bowlers up front, but they do need a dependable combination at left tackle. Defensively, Jerry Jones said that he expects a significant improvement under Christian Parker, and that is a reasonable expectation considering how bad they were last year. But new personnel and new language and new terminology don't always mean better results. So the Cowboys have to be more physical, more disciplined, and far more reliable against the run than they were last year. And Schottenheimer has already said that padded practices will begin earlier and that he wants a more physical training camp. I love hearing that. And it sounds encouraging. However, let me warn you, every coach praises physicality in July. That's just how it is. So we'll see whether it translates. We'll see, when the regular season begins and Dallas faces an actual opponent determined to run the ball directly at him, how strong this defense or how improved this defense really is. But the Cowboys are entering camp healthy, talented, and surrounded by just enough mystery here to keep everybody interested. Lack of contract drama this year doesn't mean there's no drama, and it certainly doesn't mean it's going to be a boring camp. That's just not going to happen. But those are all the storylines I'm looking at. We'll keep our ears open for the trades, potential trades, more trade rumors. I'm sure that will be the topic of conversation for much of training camp. We'll monitor playing time for everybody, including at linebacker, cornerback, left tackle, running back, reps, all of that. And, of course, backup quarterback. You've got that going on. Lots of stuff to pay attention to. Thankfully, no contract discussions. No holdouts. Obviously, there's the Quinnen Williams thing we just talked about. To me, that's not that is what it is. I personally think that's going to get worked out sooner than later. I think Jerry Jones has spent enough money and enough draft capital on Quinnen Williams that he's not going to let him go. That's just how I see it. You guys let me know what you think. At IndyCar Tim across all the social medias over there at X, at Instagram. Never on Instagram, but you're welcome to reach out to me over there. Facebook. And then if you're watching us here on the YouTube channel, either the FanStream Sports Dallas YouTube channel or the Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz channel, thank you very much. We need to remind everybody, ZipRecruiter. If you are trying to hire, there are candidates out there who will go the extra step for your job. What does that mean? Well, those extra steps that anybody makes in any aspect of your life obviously creates a positive impression. Not just in the job market, but especially in the job market. And sometimes it doesn't seem like much, but when someone goes an extra step, it affects you positively. And if you're hiring, great candidates can also go the extra step and tell you why they're interested in your job, specifically at ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try all of that for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. It is on the screen if you're watching us on video. If you are not, it is ZipRecruiter.com/audio. And ZipRecruiter has that new feature that will show you the most interested and the most qualified candidates first. So you'll meet the right people fast. Their powerful matching technology finds qualified candidates quickly, candidates who can tell you in their own words why they are interested in your job. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. So try ZipRecruiter and meet great candidates who will go the extra step for your job. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, meet your match on ZipRecruiter. I guarantee you, there's a good chance that Jerry Jones might have found Christian Parker on ZipRecruiter. I mean, you know for a fact that he didn't? I don't. I can't say that. Can't say that he absolutely 100% did not. It is what it is. Boys and girls, we'll be back tomorrow with more training camp conversations for you as the Cowboys enter day 2 or day 3 on Thursday. And I'll recap tomorrow morning all the stuff that we found out that happened today. Maybe more rumors of trades, maybe Quinnen Williams discussion, maybe backup quarterback conversations. Whatever it is, we'll find it. We'll talk to you about it here tomorrow morning. Until then, boys and girls, we'll see you.